Um, so a little bit about background. So you know where the experience comes from. Early Vision is a software company. We are focusing on the digital textile workflow. We don't do other types of workflow. And the background for starting Early Vision was working with brands since 2014. All my career was around 3D, but since 2014, it's around the cloth simulation, which is mainly serving the fashion industry, but also furniture and car seats and stuff like that. And through working with that, and given what we heard about the panel discussion, I think that there is a bigger problem than technology when it comes to working with brands, because of the way that they are working, because of the way that in the past years they've been migrating all the manufacturing offshore and now trying to bring it to reshore it. So there are a few challenges. We'll touch upon them. When I work with companies like Gap, Adidas, Under Armour, and similar, I've seen projects that are trying to go either on-demand manufacturing or personalization, and across the board, they were not successful and closed because it was too complicated. And this what brought me together with working at that time with a sister company from EFI to start the idea of Early Vision. Our main focus, and this is where we started, and this is the more complicated scenario, is about the all-over print. As we have customers that are doing DTG, we have also a solution for DTG automation, and of course for roll-to-roll fabric printing. But as we will see, that also the presentation is very much focused on the all-over print. When we say all-over print, yeah, also fabric printing is all-over print, but when we say all-over print, we mean the microfactory setup. So there is some way to acquire the design, you print on demand, mix and match on the same fabric, then cut and sew. I will not, given the time frame, I will not run the video, but we have videos that you can see online with Suma, the whole workflow with Mimaki and others. When we started 2.5 years ago, we heard the challenge of the scale. And in the eyes of the printer, the owner of the microfactory, it was, he had the problem of scale. Now, coming from a mechanical engineering background, and many of my 3D days were around solid modeling, when I see a printer, when I see a device idle, something is wrong. It must be broken, right? And I've seen at the beginning, and I still see it with customers that didn't implement workflow, the printer is idle too much time, right? For a 600, 700,000 euros device, it should work, right? All the time. And part of it is the workflow. So they want to scale, they want to get more jobs, but there is too much manual entries. They want to work with brands, but the exchange of data is very problematic. If they do personalization, they need to bring a designer that will redo the personalization. So all of those are about scale. You can do it, right? When we visit customers, usually they already do it, but they cannot scale. And I'll give some examples. Now, in practice, they were sold a printer, right? It can print on various materials and with different inks and what's not. And in their eyes, they bought something that prints money. And they are frustrated. They are saying, okay, I'm walking through the shop floor and the machine is not working, right? Half of the time. It's waiting for the rip, it's waiting for the designer, it's waiting for the operator, it's waiting. And this is a very typical frustration that we hear. Now, to address that, we came up with several tools, and I'm speaking about those tools because they are related to this frustration. First of all, how do you acquire designs? and the diversity and the ability to work with different types of content manufacturers is very important. So on the authoring and design, we offer an online 3D and 2D editor. Now going back to the challenges, why online 2D and 3D? My daughter is 12 years old. She wants to make a hoodie. She doesn't, when she looks at the 2D shapes, she has no idea what she's looking at, right? Of the sleeves, where the sleeve starts, where the sleeves ends. For the consumers, it must be 3D. For the designer, it's fine to have it, sometimes even better to have it in 2D. So we ended up doing both. We have, on the authoring side, we have an online DTG editor. As I mentioned, this is a saturated market. There is a lot of offerings here. We did it when customers told us we want one-stop shop. We have a fabric editor where you can basically place tiles and size them and split the fabric and so on. And we integrate directly to Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator dominates this market in the fashion industry. So we sit inside of Illustrator where you can export the design in a way that it's ready to be printed, nested, and cut. So this is the DTG, and that's the fabric editor. We'll see it live in a few minutes. This is the Illustrator plugin, including a 3D visualization, so you can see. You know, we've heard crazy things from professional designers. I was sitting at Under Armour the other day, and they told me that they sent something to be manufactured, and the leggings and the sports bra, the print pattern was not in the same scale. So think about consumer running, professional running into this problem. You don't want a consumer to run into that. So this is trying to bring the 3D inside of Illustrator. Then the next part is the integration. How do you deliver that authoring experience to the user? We provide integrations out of the box to Shopify, WooCommerce, and PrestaShop. And this is important because when a typical customers come to us, it might be after he had a site sometimes, and I'm glad to say that we see more and more prospects that come to us before even they got the printer or set up the website. And they are saying at the end of the day, where do I get the full automation? It may sound very simple, right? It's a website, you need to call the application and it will push something into the shopping cart. It's an integration, and it's better to have it out of the box than to write it on your own every time. Then the other part of the engagement part is an application that we created for content exchange. Basically, and we'll touch about that later, when you as a printer want to work with a Soho designer, a small fashion house, you want to work with an influencer and allow them to upload content that is ready to print, you don't want to do it over an e-commerce site because there is no e-commerce shopping cart involved, right? So we have this collaboration software that allows to create content, push it into the website, and when it is sold, it's ready for production. This was one of the big inputs that we got from customers. And of course, there is the backend for the automation where you nest the pieces, you optimize the fabric consumption. It's in most of the cases, this will be an automated process. So designs are pushed to the server, orders are coming through the e-commerce or through other systems, and the nesting is done at night. So by the time that the operator comes in the morning, they have all the files for the full day to print and cut, and there is no idle time on the printer. They know how to optimize the fabric order, and they start to produce immediately when they come in the morning. Then there are other tools. How do you manage defects and things of that nature? Now, touching about the automation and the nesting, of course, you know, when you save 20 to 25% of fabric, talking about sustainability, it's a big thing, right? We'll look at numbers in a minute, right? But this is the typical when you're working one by one versus automated nesting, 20 to 25% savings in fabric. I'm a little bit disappointed to see that our customers will take the white areas that you see on the bottom and they put it in the trash. You would imagine that this has to be recycled. There is no ink on it. It should be simple to recycle it, but it's not there yet. At least I haven't seen that. So there is the savings of the fabric. Then there is the fact that you are leveraging your printer power. Going back to the picture with printing dollars, right? We look at those printers. Some of them can print 100 meters, 200 meters, 500 meters an hour. And most of the customers, when they come to us, they are not even close to that, right? If they print 100 meters a day, then it's a good accomplishment. And the fact that you want to scale, but you don't want with every printer that you bring to bring another 10 employees that you are not sure that you will be able to pay their salaries on an ongoing basis. So if we talk about savings, these are some sample numbers, right? So if I'm printing 100, if I'm producing 100 sweatshirts a day, I would save around $3,300 euros, depending where, per month. And if I'm doing 400, this is even more significant. So the ROI on the investment in workflow is just by the fabric savings is great. There is no discussion there, right, usually. But the real value is the scaling. And as an example, let's take NoPins. NoPins is a company that is specializing in cycling wear, professional, top-notch stuff, right? Not something that you will wear to your ride on a Sunday thing, because it's very tight. It's meant for less friction and so on. And these guys basically have two lines of products, one that is standard and one for clubs. Part of the challenge that they had is that onboarding a new club took a lot of time. Preparing the print runs was very time consuming, because a typical suit, a full body suit for cycling, can be made out of 10, 13 materials. So you need to split the materials manually and position them manually, and it was taking time from the design department. So setting up a new club and then producing for them was an issue. One of the things that is different with this company and other companies that are doing cycling wear is that usually if you're looking at most of the other competitors that they have, they open a window for a club to order garments. So they say, okay, your window is 12 of March through 12 of April. NoPins, the cyclist himself can order one unit. They don't need to wait for a window. So they actually manufacture on demand by piece. This is an example of a nest, and these are just two materials out of typically 14, 15 materials that will be printed in a day. Even without scaling, right? With the number of orders that they have today, they will have fabric savings of around 40,000 pounds per year. And the plan is, of course, to extend that. I was just telling Marco from Mimaki, these guys are, every time that I come, there is a new printer. But the value is also from automating the design to print workflow, scaling of the business itself, so they are able to acquire more and more clubs, and the idea is to expand and open other factories around the world. And leveraging our 3D, they're also saving the extra work that they are doing to create the mock-ups. So when the designer is starting to work with a club, they were creating mock-ups that go to the garbage, right? Because they are not production ready. With the 3D, they don't need to create mock-ups. The mock-up is a derivative of working in 3D. Plan for the future is allowing personalization at the designer level. I don't know if you notice, but this guy is the owner of the company, is a professional cyclist, was here a week and a half ago. There was the World Championship in Trento, which is like 1 hour from here. And on his sleeves, you can see Early Vision logo. So in high level, the workflow, we need to think about how at the end of the day, the website will work, right? So there is a user that comes and picks a predefined garment. It's already designed, he is not designing anything. Then there is a professional designer of a brand that we work with as the printer, and they give us an AI file. And then there is a lady coming in and customizing her own dress. All of that goes to the backend. And in many cases, when we look at the orders that customers get during the day, it's 1 unit here, 2 units there, 3 units. Suddenly there is a a B2B order with 300 units, right? But this on demand is all small units, and you don't want to deal with them yourself. So the server will, on the backend, the server wakes up, picks up the garments, organizes them by the fabric, and other constraints that you might have. Sometimes, for example, a given customer wants a very specific fabric, so this will be separated from the rest, and then it is nested automatically and prepared for print and for cut. If the cutter needs a file, we create a file. If it doesn't need a file, usually it has requirements as to the contour around the pieces and so on. So now, when we implement such a workflow, and we've done that around the world in Poland, Germany, Croatia, Slovenia, and more places, the States or the United States, Canada, and other places. When we finish the project, after a few months, we get a call, right? That the customer says, okay, now the problem is demand, because he was holding up demand because the printer was waiting all the time. Now he wants to generate more demand, and the printer can do it, right? And everybody is happy. You will consume more ink. The ink manufacturer is happy. He's buying more printers, is happy. But how do you generate the demand? And here, we all know, it was discussed here earlier, the buyer dynamics has changed. And if we are looking at the brands only, I think that we are missing a bigger picture. The brands are moving slower, most of them. Maybe I know from our own customers that they're engaging with brands for years, right, to create a little project. But on the other hand, they engage with a print-on-demand partner, and suddenly they get 600 units printed a day. So what is this print-on-demand platforms? They engage with the consumer. So there is a lot of social networking initiatives to promote the product, but those can get very expensive, right? So we have a customer in Israel that is serving a brand, and these guys are spending out of $10 million in revenue, they are spending $4 million with Facebook ads, which is crazy. It's unbelievable, right? And the guys, some of our customers cannot get there, right? They don't have the bandwidth to say, okay, now I will invest $100,000 and then I'll go $200,000 and wait for the results, because they don't have the bandwidth to do it. So finding the right channels and making influencers and making designers work for you is a big thing for them. The shirt that I'm wearing, it was printed on a Kornit printer. It's an initiative of one of our customers with designers. So basically, the drawing that is on the shirt is a drawing that a painter did, which meant to be sold as a wall mounted picture. And basically all this content she's pushing into the system. I'll show you in a second how it works. So on the expansion, and I'll try to move faster here, our customers usually start with having the solution on their website. Then they will expand it to their partner's website. So merchandising companies that do print on demand with them has much bigger reach to the audience, whether B2B or B2C. And the editor is sitting on the merchandiser site, and the content is sent to the manufacturing site for production. The do-it-yourself community, especially in the US, is very, very big. And in this area, of course, there is the fabric printing, okay, that goes without saying. But we've started to see customers and done projects with them. Those of you who know burda is where, you know, my mom, for example, will get a burda, and it had in the middle this A0 size printout of a garment, graded, and then you take the pieces of paper, put them on the fabric and cut them. What we do with our customers today is that they can engage with those pattern providers. The pattern will be in a 2D experience over the web. They get, even if they don't have a cutter, they just have a printer, they print the pieces nested with the cut marks, and they basically can offer to fashion designers and to do-it-yourself guys a much easier experience and much affordable. And if we are talking about sustainability, instead of printing meters of fabrics that you don't need, because you need a blue pajama and a pink pajama for your kids that you're sewing yourself, you just one piece of fabric nested together, optimized, and there is a much more efficiency and less waste. Of course, working with fashion designers, being able to get their patterns and nest them, not only your patterns, is an important thing. And for the fashion designers, it's a big thing, right? Because today, in most cases, they will wait until they have 50 meters of a given design to give it to print, cut, and sew. So now they can be much more flexible. Of course, there is the B2B engagements with smaller or bigger brands. And one initiative that we are enabling with the EVPOP platform, with the collaboration platform, is the engagement with influencers. So I want to work with a gamer. The gamer has content, he has materials that he wants to publish. He can go online, or the designer can do it for him, create the collection, and basically he starts to sell. What's his power is that he has followers, and he can take a picture of him with the garment, and people are starting to show interest in those garments. It's not the typical influencer marketing where I pay the influencer to publish my product. He's actually publishing his own product, his own micro brand that we helped establishing. So we are supporting, in terms of supporting scenarios, live 3D, 2D on the website or on the platform, uploading populated templates, we support that. We upload your own garment pattern, we support that. We talked about the burda scenario. DTG and fabric customization are all supported scenarios. Now here are some examples real quick. This is Kaspar, a company in Croatia. They have an HP Stitch, a Cornet, Degen. They have a few cutters, a laser cutter and 2 knife cutters. So this is live on their website. I can go in if I will see the customize button. And this website, I refer to it very much as a B2B website, right? Not a B2C because of the way that it's established, but I'll do something real quick. I'll take the same picture that is used on my shirt over here. and I have a garment. This is a garment that is ready for production. So if I click on add to cart, tomorrow morning this will be printed, cut and sewn at Caspar. Then this is an example of a customer. So House of Cotton is a company in Poland. They don't have any printer, any cutter, but they embedded the fabric editor on their own website. And then when the user, this is a WooCommerce, when they go into customize, a fabric editor is opening, and I'll skip some of these steps because Chinky here is marking me that I'm about to lose my slot. This is a company in the States. We do with them fabric printing and customized garment printing. I want to show you something really quick. In this case, when you're working on the Burda scenario, it is important to understand how the garment is built, right? So where did we put it? So those patterns that you get from Burda are very configurable. You can have one garment, like if we open this oversized tee, that is basically built from 624 combinations, right? With short sleeve, with long sleeves, with hood, without hood, and so on. And these are things that we don't think about, but when you start to work with this industry, you understand that you must give them this type of flexibility because they get it on a paper basis. And when I selected that particular combination with the size and the options, right, I can place the graphics, repeat it all over, and I'm happy, and I can work. This is ready for manufacturing. We talked about no pins, so I'm not going to go into that again. This is a company out of Canada. Their business is working with artists. So very similar to what I showed you with the shirt. They are using Epson short color printers. They have like 5 or 6 of those. And basically, our platform is engaged inside of their platform. The artist would load images, and the images will be spread automatically and rendered over 65, around 65 different products automatically. So the idea here is the scale, right? I can create these gazillions of options. It costs me nothing, even as an influencer, right? It costs me nothing, and it's sitting there. Whatever will be successful will gain traction and will be upper in the system. But there is no real cost for me to create samples and stuff like that. The last thing on this presentation is the notion of the website. In many cases, we are visiting microfactory owners, and you see that they are a little bit confused about the website, how they set up the website. And it sounds like, again, you know, a website, what's the big deal? But a website for printing fabric is not a website for consumer ordering garments. A website for consumer buying garments is not a website for an influencer to set up his own micro brand. So at the end of the day, all of that is very tightly connected, and we see customers that do a lot of thinking before they start, and we see customers that are in a constant move towards that, and it's fine when the customer has 3 different sites, one for fabric printing, one for of a brand that they started, and one for working with influencers or with fashion designers. So that's what I wanted to share today. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Luca and Farrell.
From our online audience. So the question is, a limitation of microfactories, is a limitation of microfactories the difficulty in sourcing inventory locally in consumer nations? And if so, how can this be overcome?
I think that the sourcing is not a real, I haven't seen a problem of that sort with our customers. What I did see is situations that they are short in sewing capacity, and they start to look in areas like Łódź in Poland to cover for that. And of course, the generation of the demand. So if I can I feed this monster that I bought with enough printing per day?
Hi, I'm here. Thanks for the presentation. It's very interesting what you're doing. We haven't spoke about what happened after you export the file from the platform. I understood that the nested file is going toward the digital printers. I suppose that there is a RIP software in the middle who's taking care of all the color management and processing the files. Is your platform compatible with all the RIP software on the market, or you have specific one-to-one cooperations with RIP manufacturers? Thank you.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We are generating, in most cases, we will generate a PDF file with color profiles according to what the customer guides us. So we haven't seen yet RIP that couldn't support our files. We did see a situation that the customer prefers that the output would be a raster file because of all kind of considerations on their side. But the usage of PDF, if you know to do the color profiling and to configure the RIP, I think should cover all scenarios. But sometimes customers insist on a raster file at the end.
Thank you.
Any other question? No. Okay. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you very much.
That was a very interesting presentation.